Hi, my name's Lauren Wenner, and I'm going to tell you a story about a family vacation we went on a couple years ago in the summer, and it was to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It was a road trip. We drove there as a family and with a couple of me and my brother's friends in our Envoy truck thing. We've driven places before, like Wisconsin, Minnesota. Me, my mom, and my grandpa drove to Pittsburgh one time, but nothing as far as South Carolina. So we didn't really know what to expect. We might not have been as prepared as we should have been, but it was an adventure for sure, and I will never ever forget this road trip. So I'm going to tell you about it today, because I think it's interesting. I like reminiscing. So, yeah, it was in the summer a couple years ago, and it was me, my mom, my two brothers, and then one of my brother's friends and my friend. So the car was pretty full. We left at like 5 in the morning or something like that, like really early. So by the time we got to Indiana, it was like 9 in the morning. But before we even got out of Illinois, we got lost. We had to pull over to an oasis, configure our GPS, everything, and we were just sitting there. We're like, wow, this is a great start. We have no idea where we're going. What were we thinking? There were a couple of the families driving there, but they just took off. So we were like, oh god. So we reconfigured the GPS, got it all under control, started driving. We get into Indiana. We're on the Indianapolis freeway or whatever, and it's 9 a.m. on a weekday, and I'm driving along, and my mom was sitting in the back seat. My friend was next to me, and the car was kind of shaking, and my mom's screaming at me. She's like, you got to keep it on the road, Laura, or I'm gonna have to take over. I'm like, I know how to drive. I'm like, it's windy outside. And my friend rolled down the window, and she told me, she's like, Lauren, I don't see any trees blowing. I'm like, well, it is windy. The car is shaking. You feel it. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh my god, what's that smell? And it was burning rubber. So we'd blown a tire. And I didn't know what to do because there's really no shoulder, so I just kind of had to veer off to the side of the road, completely in everybody's way. And I didn't know what to do. I looked behind my mom, just staring out the window. She was blaming my dad because he was supposed to check the tires before we left. And I'm like, okay, well now we're on the side of the road. What are we supposed to do? So we call roadside assistance. They came out as soon as they can, but I mean, we all got out of the car, and we look, and we had backed up traffic as so far back you couldn't even see it anymore. It just went off into the distance, all this traffic. I was so embarrassed. I'm pretty sure someone got fired that day because they were hours late to work, and these stupid people blow a tire at 9 a.m. on the freeway. So roadside assistance came. We'd open up the trunk, take everything out. We had coolers, suitcases, boogie boards. It was so embarrassing. I'm like, oh my god. We take it all out. They changed the tire, put the spare on, and then told us that we had to eventually get a real tire on there because the spare wouldn't last us all the way to Myrtle Beach. And we're like, okay, that's fine. Do you know anywhere where we could go close by? They suggested a place, and it was really, we went, and it was not the nicest part of Indianapolis. There were a lot of houses that were boarded up, and it was just weird. It was not a good area. The guy that was putting the tire on our car had his little son, little boy, helping him put tires on and checking pressure. I'm like the pressure in the tires. I was like, huh, this is weird. He's having his son help him. Whatever, my mom tipped him. I think she tipped the little boy. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is weird. So we got on the road with this weird tire that was obviously used, and we're driving a few more hours, and my mom's like, alright, pull over, we need gas. My friend was driving. She's like, okay. We stop, and this truck driver comes up to us, and he's like, I just gotta let you know, I can't let you go back on the road. Your tire your spare tire underneath is hanging off by a thread. If that comes off on the highway, you're gonna kill someone. So we're like, oh, okay, great. Thanks for letting us know. So thank God he told us, because we would have gone back on the street and probably killed someone. So we went to Walmart that was luckily like right across the street. And we were there for about 3 hours because there was like such a long wait, and they had to put a real tire on. What had happened was the tire that man gave us in Indiana had a huge nail in it. So by the time we like got, it was in Kentucky where we went to Walmart. By the time we got to Kentucky, it was almost like, I mean, like it was pretty deflated. So we got a real tire on there. We were there for about 3 hours. My brother and his friend were like longboarding like around the Walmart because we were so bored. There was nothing to do. We were driving. We were just going crazy. So we got the tire on, and they re-screwed the tire underneath the car so it wouldn't fly off with us going 80 miles per hour. And we took off again. Couple hours later, I was driving. I feel like everything happened when I was driving or my friend was driving, but a black bird like flew into the windshield. And I was like, oh, yay, that makes sense. So obviously we were having some bad luck that day. We kept going. We stayed at a hotel that night. There was a few other families that went. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we were obviously the last car to get there, and we were just like, don't talk to us. Like, we're going to bed. This is ridiculous. We didn't want any, because they were all like, oh, la, la, like everything went great for them. So we're like, okay, well, we're never doing this again, first of all, and second of all, we're going to bed. So we got up the next day, kept driving. The second half of the drive there was great. We saw all the mountains and the scenery change, and there were no car mechanic problems at all. But it was nice. I mean, I've never like seen like the Smoky Mountains or any of that before. So that was really cool. It was a pretty drive. So we got there. We were staying like in a condo. The vacation went okay. There was a little issue with jellyfish infestation in the waters, and my brother's friend actually got stung by a jellyfish. He was okay. I mean, he was like, oh, battle scars. Like, he was like a 19-year-old guy. Like, ooh, yeah, check it out. But we were like, oh, yeah, cool. I'm glad you like it. We're not going in the water. And then my mom was like furious with everybody. She's like, we didn't drive all this way to hang out in the pool. And I'm sorry, I'm not getting stung by jellyfish. So, yeah, because what had happened was there was like a jellyfish, like, he thought it looked like a plastic bag that was like floating on top of the water, and he was like gonna get it because he thought it was like a bag, throw it out, and it was a jellyfish. So tentacles like stung him across his stomach. I don't know why they don't do that, but jellyfish attacked. So yeah, we were done with that. So we just hung out in the pool. We were like right by the boardwalk, which was fine. I just think the trip there was so taxing that we were just, it might have affected our actual vacation in Myrtle Beach just a little bit. But we were with friends, and overall, I'm grateful for the trip. The trip itself, I mean, Myrtle Beach the beach is beautiful. It, goes on for like miles. It looks like a long stretch, and it was fun. I mean, there are little problems along the way, but that's okay. That's what happens. But the ride home, we decided to go ziplining, which was odd. I'd never gone ziplining before. We went ziplining like through the Smoky Mountains, and that was just like, that was awesome. I was like, that was like the coolest thing I've ever done. Of course, there was a problem though. My little brother gets migraines, like really bad migraines, and he got a migraine. I think it was really hot that day, dehydration or whatever. He got a migraine, and on the drive home, my mom like brought a plastic bag just in case, because sometimes he gets sick, and he threw up like The Exorcist for I don't even know how long. My friend was driving. I was like, are you okay? And she was like, yeah, just get the bag out of here. Just get the bag. Because it smelled. I'm like, oh my god, this is like so embarrassing. But she's like my best friend. Like, she knows my family. But he like, I can't even believe he had that much inside of him. He's like so tiny. So that was like kind of like the grand finale to our road trip, with my brother profusely or projectile vomiting into a garbage bag for like 20 minutes. So then we stayed at a hotel and then got the heck out of there and got home as fast as we could. So that was my awesome trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. If we ever go again, I'm pretty sure